This is KGW News at 5.
And thank you for joining us at 5. I'm John Adams. Today, Portland police booked Shane McKeever for reckless driving and first-degree manslaughter after a crash at 3 a.m. in the Buckman neighborhood. One person involved was injured and later died. Investigators believe someone fired shots at McKeever and are now looking for that person. Sydney Dorner has more on what happened.
A man is now dead after a crash here on Southeast Belmont and MLK Boulevard early Sunday involving a car and a person with a bike. The person on the bike was seriously injured and taken to the hospital where they later died. Police say shots were fired, but we don't know if anyone was hit. The driver of the car ran away, but police say he was detained by bystanders a few blocks away until officers arrived. In Southeast Portland, I'm Sydney Dorner, KGW News.
A local woman opens up after the sudden death of her husband, Jacob Hartley, the general manager of Bartini and Urban Fondue in Portland. She says her husband died suddenly on February the 10th and says you could rely on him to help others when needed, and he always had a smile on his face. She and her kids miss Jacob and are now just taking things day by day.
His whole goal in life was to make sure his family was taken care of and his kids had everything they wanted, and wanted to make sure that his kids always had the things they wanted because he didn't get that very much.
Well, Carly says her husband was part of the Urban Restaurant Group for years. She says he helped the group to open and expand and will never be forgotten. A GoFundMe page has been set up to assist the family. Well, turning out to weather, after a few days of nice weather outside, the rain chances are returning in the valley, and ski resorts, as you can see there, are already seeing some snow. So Ashley Grams joins us now with the latest. What is the latest, Ashley? When's the rain getting here?
Yeah, some of us already seeing that rain. Here's a look out at the coast right now at our Lincoln City camera. Chinook winds 51 degrees outside there right now. So just a few degrees colder than we saw yesterday, but we're going to see temperatures take a dive here tonight as a cold front comes in. Here's a look over the Rose City right now. You can see kind of that heavy cloud cover. We expect any time here in the next hour or two for that rain to start. Some folks in Southwest Washington have been seeing rain for the past few hours, saying, what? You guys haven't seen any of it yet? I think we're over half an inch for folks out there in Astoria. So sitting right around that 50-degree temperature mark or so, but already the Cascades seeing some snow, as John was showing you right there. Here's a live look right now at Timberline Lodge. I think we're up to about 5 inches of new snow here in just the past few hours. The Cascades are under a winter storm warning. Now take a look at our weather alerts here across the map. Yes, it's lit up. Many colors for us today. You can see the Coast Range here under a winter weather advisory. That's the purple on your screen. And then the pink, the winter storm warning we were talking about over the Cascades, pushing all the way up into the Washington Cascades as well. And then you'll see that wind advisory there on the east side of the state. These are all going to last with us all the way until Tuesday. What are we going to see in terms of snow? Well, heavy, heavy snow in the mountains, 2 feet in some areas. We'll talk more about that and what you can expect over the next day coming up. John.
All right, Ashley, thank you. Well, this afternoon, we followed a protest near Portland International Airport that interrupted traffic for a few hours. Portland police say it happened on Airport Way west of 82nd. Travelers were told to avoid the road and use Frontage Way while they were clearing the scene. Well, deputies in Cowlitz County asked for the public's help to find a suspect wanted for kidnapping, burglary, and stealing a car. They say the suspect was caught burglarizing a home Friday morning by the homeowner. The suspect assaulted the homeowner before stealing their car and fleeing the scene. Deputies believe the suspect broke into another home and stole clothing. If you have any info to share, contact the Cowlitz County Sheriff's Office. Well, a traffic stop in East Portland leads to the seizure of more than 1 pound of fentanyl. East Precinct officers stopped a car last night and learned the driver had a felony arrest warrant for delivery of heroin. A search of the car revealed fentanyl powder and pills, plus cash and scales. The driver now faces charges of delivering fentanyl. The Clark County Sheriff's Office is searching for suspects they say stole a number of wallets while people were at the gym. They say last Sunday at least 2 people entered Club Pilates in Hazeldale and stole wallets. Later that day, 3 people used stolen credit cards. The Sheriff's Office is asking for any information on the suspects pictured here. One update now to a story we first reported on this morning. Vancouver police now tell us the father and daughter reported missing this morning have been found safe. Family members were concerned after the father texted them asking for help and then his phone turned off. Well, Oregon lawmakers will hold a public hearing Monday to discuss a bill we've been following closely, HB 4002. They'll be discussing two amendments introduced on Friday that would change Measure 110. When it comes to recriminalizing drugs, a new class of misdemeanor would be created. This would allow people to avoid a criminal record by completing drug treatment, and if convicted, they would not receive immediate jail time and instead get probation. But defendants could be jailed for up to 6 months for violating that probation. Here's what the Urban League of Portland had to say earlier this week.
We're in staunch opposition to any criminalization or recriminalization, I should say, of folks who are suffering. And, from what we've heard is that, this new iterative amendment that we're expecting is quite frankly worse than what was initially introduced.
The ACLU of Oregon weighed in, saying these changes are regressive and harsh and that legislative leaders failed to get input from stakeholders and constituents who would be affected. Before these amendments were introduced, Governor Kotek told us she would only approve changes to Measure 110 that would both improve the lives of people needing services and make our communities safer. If approved by the committee, the bill would head to the full House, and if it's passed there, it could head to the Senate as early as the end of next week. Well, the dream of a 1-hour train ride from Seattle to Portland lives on in Olympia despite a tight transportation budget. Washington is still on track for a high-speed rail line. The state was recently awarded $500,000 in grant funding to help cover the costs of planning. Well, next week, lawmakers will meet with federal officials about applying for another $250 million in grants. That's essentially the only way the new rail lines needed to connect Vancouver, BC to Portland will get built.
We have 3 million people coming to this region over the next generation. Our airport is close to capacity. I-5 is at capacity. We need to figure out a way to accommodate all the folks that are moving here. And rail is something we don't use, we underutilize in this state. We need to add it to the mix.
Well, it's still too soon to tell how long this could take. The head of the project says it will need to raise billions, acquire land, and get public input long before any construction could begin. Well, TriMet rolls out some improvements to its bus lines. Starting today, the agency says you can expect to see more buses in the mornings and evenings on 3 of its most used lines. TriMet is also extending a line in Troutdale to make it easier for people to reach major employers like Amazon and FedEx.